I usually start with the nose. Center of the bucket, and then center of the nose. But anyway, that's the nose. A little bit of a tall nose, but it's a nose nevertheless. Plastic, man, it gets so pliable and soft, and I just shape it. It's just by pushing and shoving. I love it.
Gosh, it sure is beautiful here in the mountains of Polk County, Tennessee, just outside the Cherokee National Forest. And today, guys, I have a very special story for you all that is related to these mountains. Anyway, I'll share it here in a minute. What's up, you guys? Chet-Guthrie, the Dream Poet here, coming to you all with another fun-filled, adventurous vlog here on the cusp of summer. Yes, it's finally starting to warm up just a little bit. Last few days it's been about 75. Down in Florida it was about 90. Can't lie, that felt really good. But now that I am back in my neck of the woods, I think it's time that we talk about a local artist who has long since passed. Now, if you were somebody in the early 90s and going on up into the early 2000s, you all will have probably seen an interesting artist stand here along Highway 64. At this artist stand, you would have seen bucket faces, you would have seen centaurs, you would have seen bucket men, you would have seen some of the most interesting folk art that you would have ever seen here in the Appalachian Mountains. And the man who created all those things, his name was Danny Hoskinson. Now, Danny Hoskinson, he was originally from Knoxville, Tennessee, born February 17th, 1957. He lived with his father in California for a time, but later on in his life, he came here to Polk County, where he lived his life. And it was at a July 4th party, 4th of July party in 1987, he got the idea of messing around with plastic spoons, plastic forks. And what he would do is he would take his lighter, he would light them up, he would melt them, and he would create these little figurines. Now, this absolutely amazed the children that were at this party. And from there, Danny Hoskinson, he went to go to create other things. Within about 5 years, he started working on buckets. Now, as he later described, he graduated from plastic forks and spoons and started working with buckets. Now, Danny, he would get his buckets from local restaurants like the Ocoee Gondolier and other places within the Polk County area like Benton, Ocoee. Anyway, this is where a great folk artist began his career. And now, if you remember way back when in the early 90s up until about 2008, you all will have probably seen the bucket truck. Now, the bucket truck was an old minivan that Danny had taken some of his creations. He put them on this particular van, and well, of course, it was known as the bucket truck.
This is, once I got to know my plastic well enough, I was able to attach it to the truck by screws, just screw it on there. It's whatever I thought fit. Now, once you get inside of the bucket truck, you'll see the alligator. Now, that's 25 buckets. Each leg's a 5-gallon bucket.
And also, another thing about Danny is he was also barefoot. He also, like nearly all the time, he went barefoot. That's kind of why here in this local area, that's why they called him the Barefoot Bucket Man of Polk County. But anyway, guys, since we are out here at the Ocoee Gondolier, we're gonna make a couple of stops to where Danny used to go around. Much like the Ocoee Gondolier, this is where he used to frequent in a lot of restaurants and other businesses in Cleveland, Tennessee. But the next stop we are going to what used to be his house, or his studio, where he used to go and create these creations. So anyway, you guys, let's go down the road a little bit of ways. On a back road known as Sweeney Road, this is where Danny Hoskinson's studio used to be. Right here, just behind these bushes and these trees. But this is where Danny created his centaur. This is where he created his bucket man. And this is where he created all his other various different artistic pieces.
George up here was the first guy I put together ever out of the plastic. Instead of heating it up, rolling it up, I folded it pretty much. And these are buckets not melted so much, so it's hollow inside. And I'm not sure how I accomplished that. But the legs are folded, not rolled. It's not solid. This is a hollow head. Of course, that's George for you. And he was holding a frying pan. He's got this fly on his nose, and he kept hitting it, you know, trying to kill the fly. Well, anyway, that was the theory, the theme. He's got to be 15 years old. So that's a testament to my plastic, you know. He's not brittle. My centaur over here, this has been 3 years coming. It started out being like a giraffe. The body, I put the body together, and the only thing I could come up with was a giraffe. And then, so I didn't like that. I didn't like the head. I didn't like much about it, but I did like the idea I had the body there, you know. I always go over whatever it is I've done. So I did, that's what I did. I went ahead and, this was the neck. So instead I added the body and the ball and chain. Each link in the chain here is a 5-gallon bucket. So it's a ball and chain. He's tied up. He can't go far. And so this is my centaur. I think that's what you call it. Half man, half goat.
Now, present day, as you all can tell, it is no longer owned by Danny. Danny passed away in 2008 from cirrhosis of the liver, and we'll get into that a little bit later on today. But imagine all the art festivals that used to go on here just behind those trees. I know if you look hard enough on the internet, you can find where you used to host these events. However, it's just a private residence now, sadly enough. Just on a quiet backcountry road here in Polk County, Tennessee. Now, cool thing as well, Danny, he also hosted a few events. He was actually a guest speaker down at several folk art festivals in Atlanta. He actually gave a talk at the local community college, Cleveland State Community College in Cleveland, Tennessee, about how he took his dream, his creativity with plastic and buckets, and creating a folk art form that is still remembered to this day. And by the way, while I could not really find anything where his artwork is still on display, there is a restaurant in town where two bucket heads are still on display, and we're gonna go check those out. I'm very excited. Honestly, I don't know where you could look to find some of Danny's old art. One of the things that I would like to find is the bucket truck, or the bucket van. Anyway, Let's get down the road a little bit of ways. Yes, I'm here at a restaurant here in town, and if you didn't know what to look for or where to expect that these bucket heads would be, well, they're up on a shelf. Here amongst the bar lights, all the fun knickknacks. This, or I should say these, are the bucket heads that are still left over. Ones that you can still see that are left over from Danny Hoskinson. And this actually came from a former restaurant as well. But I think it's so fascinating that they're still here even to this day. And I would even say that these are more of a later piece, because I know later on Danny learned how to put teeth in these buckets. And if you look right here, you can see where he put teeth in there. But look how he just made these faces. I mean, that is absolutely incredible. An absolute showmanship. So anyway, you guys, we're gonna eat some lunch, and we've got one more stop here in this vlog, and that is the grave of Danny Hoskinson, the Bucket Man of Polk County, Tennessee. Now, this is one of the favorite things about living in East Tennessee, or at least one of my favorite things, and that is that even on a backcountry road, you can still find some amazing folk art. Like, for example, a tree stump with bears carved into it. Looks like it's kind of old, but looks like one of the main parts of the tree was carved into a bear. And then from there, you have a bear cub. Now, previously, as I had mentioned, Danny Hoskinson was originally from Knoxville. And later, when he passed away, he was buried here at Oak Grove Cemetery in Madisonville, Tennessee. Which leads me to the very sad, tragic ending of the Bucket Man. You see, the Bucket Man, it was early June of 2008. Danny Hoskinson he went to the doctor because he was having pains in his stomach, like a very intense abdominal pain. And later, after they ran some tests on him, they would find out that he had psoriasis of the liver. And it was on July 2nd of 2008 that he passed. And because he was originally from this area, he was buried here. And here is his headstone. And I did not know that he was a second private in the U.S. Army, but he was born February 17th, 1956. I thought it was 1957. My apologies on that. And he passed away July 7th, 2008. So actually it was July 7th. I knew it was in July. But here at his headstone it simply says, lovingly known as the Bucket Man. And it does look like there are a few more Hoskinsons here on this plot. Looks like there's Charles C. Hoskinson, Margaret Garner Hoskinson, Clary, and of course Daniel Hoskinson, or Danny Hoskinson. And anyway, he definitely has a beautiful view. Very, very beautiful. Thank you, sir, for serving, and thank you for your great art contributions to society. And thus, seeing his grave, that will end this vlog. Anyway, guys, thank you all for joining me here today. This is the first vlog in about a month and a half that I've done a video in Tennessee. Talk about back-to-back, state-to-state. It's been a pretty long one, not gonna lie. But anyway, you guys, remember, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Always means a lot. Goes to show that y'all care and that y'all want to see more awesome videos. So without further ado, you guys, this vlog is over.